Hi, my name is Tatiana, and I will be covering type 9s today. So we already covered type 1s, the perfectionists. We covered type 8s, the challengers. And so what we're going to do is just wrap up this anger triad by covering type 9s, the peacemakers. So type 9s at first glance are the type of humans that are just so easygoing and adaptable and just so go with the flow. I like to think of 9s as those friends that when you're creating plans with them, they're most likely to say, whatever you want, I'm down with anything, just give me a time and a place and I'm going to be there. So a lot of the times, people who know 9s and even 9s themselves find it very confusing why they're in this anger triad with 1s and 8s. So 1s internalize their anger, 8s push out their anger, but 9s do something really funny with their anger. They do something we like to call falling asleep to their anger. So basically what this means is that they're more likely to numb out to any emotion that is seemingly disturbing or unpleasant, anything that would disrupt their peace, such as anger. So of course 9s are humans, so they experience anger, but the way that it's expressed is going to look very different. So they're probably going to express their anger more through passive aggressiveness, through stubbornness. So instead of going with the expectation that we have for 9s of just like going with the flow, they're really going to dig their heels into the ground. Which makes sense when we consider the motivation for the 9 is to maintain their sense of inner peace, to maintain stability, and to maintain status quo. They're going to seek out things that are comfortable and familiar. They're going to ensure not only their internal world is peaceful, but they're also going to ensure that their external world is also reflecting that same peace. So we see this reflected a lot of the times in the characteristics of a 9. So one of the big characteristics of a 9 is avoiding conflict. So again, they want to maintain steadiness. They want to maintain equilibrium. So what they're going to do is avoid any sort of interpersonal tension, but also internal tension. And so the way they do that is by withdrawing a lot of the times. We like to call this checking out. So if they're not going to find their peace in their external world, what they're going to do is they're going to go inward and find that simplicity in their own inner world. They also have this really cool superpower of merging. So basically what merging is melting into the opinions and characteristics of those around them. So this can be really helpful in playing this role of mediator. They can take all these different perspectives and really understand them for what they are. But we also have to consider the fear for the 9 is loss and separation from others. So they can also find themselves in this place of being very self-forgetting. So losing themselves and finding it really challenging to know their own priorities, their own decisions, their own opinions apart from those around them. So just like all these other numbers, 9s also have their stereotypes that are most of the times not really fitting for 9s. So when we look at the stereotypes for 9s, we usually hear that 9s are lazy, or they're slothful, or they lack work ethic, which for a lot of 9s couldn't be further from the truth. We have to remind ourselves that for 9s, the motivation is for stability, peace, and equilibrium, which are very subjective terms. So depending on the context or the cultural background or the upbringing of a 9, it could be defined in so many different ways. So for instance, you might find a 9 who finds their value in work, which could be their comfort, which could be their way of avoiding tension. So they could lose themselves in their work and work nonstop, but that's their own way of maintaining peace and avoiding anything on the other side of that. So I like to end this video on the terrific qualities of 9s. I'm very biased. I have a lot of friends in my life that are 9s, and they're one of my favorite people. So, okay, I'm a little biased, but I think they're all very true. So some of the terrific qualities is that they're natural mediators. Again, perspective taking. They could really understand so many different sides of the same story. They also are very unselfish most of the time, so flexible, so inclusive, just very agreeable people. And because of their perspective taking superpower, they can also find themselves really connecting to so many different numbers on the Enneagram. I have a 9 in particular who, when reading the Enneagram at first, was just like, oh yeah, I could totally see myself being a 2. I connect with 2s really well. I connect with their characteristics. Yeah, totally, I'm a 2. And then they'll look at 4s and just be like, oh my gosh, no, yeah, look at 4s. I am totally a 4. I see all these characteristics of 4s in myself. And not saying that they're not a 9, but they just have this ability to really see themselves in all these different numbers, which makes sense and why they're at the head of the Enneagram, because they just relate to all the numbers around them so well. So that's basically the 9s in a nutshell, and I'm really excited because just like 1s and 8s, we're also going to have an Enneagram confessional for 9s to really understand the complexities and the nuances of a 9. So please be on the lookout for that on the Enneagram Dignity Project page. And so that's it for today, and I hope you guys have a really great day. Bye.